Hi everyone, it's the EnglishSimmer here, and I swear these videos get harder and harder to think about different things every year because most of the time what I talked about the previous year still hasn't been added into the game. However, 2021 actually had some packs that I talked about in my pack wish list for 2021. So at the end of every year, I kind of look forward to the new year when it comes to The Sims 4 and what we could potentially get, what I would like to see, what I've seen the community requesting, and basically just chuck it all out in a video in hopes that EA will listen to us and actually add it. Last year, I talked about a farming pack. I did actually say that I didn't want it straight away and I wasn't fussed if it was coming in 2021 or if it was coming a little bit later. I love the theme of farming, but I wasn't fussed on the timing. We then ended up with the one and only expansion pack for 2021, which was all about farming and cottage living and cottagecore, which I also mentioned. I also mentioned ghosts and paranormal, and obviously we got the paranormal stuff pack. So honestly, I'm feeling pretty impressed with myself. I do actually feel like I manifested those things, and hopefully we can manifest some of these things for 2022. I still want an expansion pack based on hobbies, and obviously I want like some form of a generations. I'm not going to go into detail about those two packs. I've talked about them so much in the past, and just when stuff packs were getting so good, I feel like we went through a renaissance when it came to stuff packs. We got Moschino stuff, and that was kind of like the turning point for them, and they felt like they were so much more than what they used to be, and they had like gameplay, and they had amazing build and buy mode assets and create a sim, and then they just got like halted on in the last year. So fingers crossed we can get at least one or two stuff packs back in the year of 2022. I would really like to see fun fairs / arcades, kind of like a carnival themed stuff pack. I genuinely think this could be so cute. It could reintroduce like a festival lot. I know we had seasonal festivals in The Sims 3. If we ever get a Sims 4 seasons refresh, I would like to see a sort of festival lot. I'm not one for a traditional theme park. I've talked about this before. I had Roaring Heights for The Sims 3, which came with like a roller coaster that you could like piece together. But honestly, I just find it very boring gameplay. I would definitely prefer your classic like arcade games. Also, we don't have like a pool table, claw machine, grabber is what I call them. I know everyone says that's not what they're called, but that's what my family calls them. It's the Mancunian in me. Like hook a duck, all the classic like fun fair stuff. You could have fun houses, you could have waltzes. I just think it's a little bit more usable than like a theme park in general. And also, I am still holding out hope for a Cars stuff pack. I know this isn't everyone's thing. I know a lot of people are against cars in The Sims 4 because obviously we go through loading screens, and a lot of people are like, why do we need cars if we just go through a loading screen? My advice is always go back and play The Sims 2 if you can. I want a fixer-upper car. I would also love like a mechanic career. I think that could be super cool. I think like your cars could deteriorate over time, and then you'd either have to like fix them up at home, or you could be a mechanic and you could have like garages and stuff like that. I'm gonna talk about kits next, and honestly, my biggest dream for kits in 2022 is that they don't exist, but I think they will. I genuinely think kits have probably sold quite well, unfortunately, because I still don't think that they're worth the price point that they're in. They did feel like they took away from production of other packs, for sure, even though we were told that they wouldn't take away from other pack production. However, I do think the strengths of kits is that they are very pick and mix and they can be very dedicated. I just don't think we've seen the strongest themes that kits could possibly have, because I definitely think you could have different fashions. I think you could do like a decades kit with like 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think you could do steampunk, dark academia, e-boy, e-girl, like goth, punk, emo. There are so many different fashions that the team could go for when it came to like themed kits. I also think that would generally help with like teenagers feeling a little bit more different because they could have their own personalities. But on the flip side, I don't want them to come in kits and feel like a cash grab if we are getting like some form of a generations. Like I would just want them to come in a bigger pack. I also think kids and teen themed rooms would be really good like kit ideas. I really miss in The Sims 3 there was like a princess design and you could have like jungles or sports or space or whatever you wanted. We do not have enough themed stuff for kids and teenagers rooms. I think different appliances, I have talked about this in a kit idea video, but I really want like a fireplace kit. Like there's so many different ranges of like fireplace designs and I feel like The Sims 4 just doesn't show any of that. Like the fireplaces all feel very oversized, and also maybe a tattoo kit. I, for one, always need more tattoos, especially when it comes to like chest pieces and back pieces, like half sleeves on the forearms. I am a big tattoo enthusiast and I just don't feel like we have enough in The Sims 4. When it comes to game packs, I do think they could potentially release 2 life stage themed game packs, and this might not be for everyone. These could also come in like a generations-esque expansion, and I'm definitely not saying that I don't want that. However, a teen-based game pack, for example, prom, more activities, more after-school activities. As much as I hate stereotypes, like those sort of fashions, those like stereotypical fashions are so important to like finding yourself as a teenager that I really feel like teens need to go through those stages. We did also see in Parenthood slightly, like when your sim could go through like a bear stage and all they want to do is like wear a bear outfit. I think they could really work on that and expand it to teenagers, like have them be into like a certain interest and like only focus on like that one interest. And I just think it would add more personality and depth. Obviously an elderly game pack as well. I would absolutely love to see it. I would love to have retirement homes where like a bunch of elderly people lived so that they could have like their own little community instead of either just continuing to live with their family or you having to like move them out and then them being like super lonely because you can't even invite your grandparents to like come and stay with you or like send your kids off to grandma and granddad house for like a weekend. I would really love it if you could send them for like sleepovers at their grandparents. I just think there's a lot that could be done with elderly Sims. I think you could have inheritances. I think you could write your own wills and like give them to people and like split things up. I think like keeping family heirlooms would be really, really cool. Funerals obviously aren't in The Sims. I don't know if they would ever add them. Obviously, I still really want bands in The Sims 4. I miss like all of the instruments that we used to have, and I know I talked about this last year. I just want more instruments. I want drums, I want like bass guitars, I want like a full standing piano. I feel like having all the worlds available to you in The Sims 4 could be a really cool like building block for bands, because you could like maybe get a posting that was like, hey, you live in Willow Creek, but we want you to perform in Oasis Springs, and like you could take your band over there and perform in like maybe different stages. So there's like different types of concert halls, and like as you get more and more famous, you like play bigger shows, and I just think it would be sick. I think you could have like roadies. I think bands could be really, really cool in The Sims 4. And this could either come as like a bands and like furthering the music that we got from Get Famous maybe in a game pack, or it could come in a bigger pack like an expansion, for example, like Showtime, and maybe include like theater. Obviously, we got acting in Get Famous, but that was very much like you're a TV actor or a movie actor. And I think it would be really nice if they could like bring the theater into that as well. If they maybe did do a sort of Showtime thing, also it gives them the opportunity to work with Taylor Swift instead of Katy Perry this time around. And you know, Sims team, I'm always available. Feel free to hit a Swiftie up. And lastly, when it comes to game packs, this is one that I have seen the community talk about a lot. And I think it kind of stems from people thinking that we were initially gonna get it with Island Living, and then we just didn't. And then maybe we were gonna get it with Snowy Escape, and then we just didn't, which Sums up The Sims 4 perfectly. But owning and running hotels. Obviously, we can own and run shops in Get to Work. We can own and run restaurants in Dine Out, but we still don't have hotels. We can now stay in like houses and vacation lots, which is really nice. I'm so glad that Snowy Escape expanded that in base game so that we could do that in kind of any world. However, I know so many people still want to run hotels, and I really think a hotel like game pack could take off. We have the roomie system, and we obviously have the rental situation going on in the game, but like kind of taking those two things together, I think it would be cool if your Sims could like rent out a room or maybe an outhouse in their back garden as like an Airbnb as a little side hustle, or if you wanted to, you could quite literally run your own resort or hotel. I don't think I would want this to just be available in one world though. I think I would want this available in all worlds. So I don't know if that's possible, but I would really like to see it. And kind of the same vein, maybe even in the same pack, second home owning. I really want Sims to either be able to like live above a restaurant and like own a second home. And finally, for the big boys, the expansion packs, which I'm so sad that we only got one this year. Sims team, my biggest wish for 2022 is going back to what a normal release schedule looked like. Please, like 2 stuff packs, 2 game packs, 2 expansions. That would be perfection. I'll even like drop a game pack or drop a stuff pack, but please give me 2 expansions. I miss them so much. It felt so weird only having 1 expansion this year. I had to give a shout out to Supernatural. I feel like we need to tie the occult bow in The Sims 4. I know we've had vampires and spellcasters, aka magic, as both game packs. However, I would like to just like tie that off and be done with it. And therefore I think a Supernatural expansion with werewolves, fairies, and then also maybe like a third new occult such as elves or something like that. Yes, I know I got into D&D last year, and yes, I am reading Priory of the Orange Tree at the minute. I thought it was sat next to me on my desk. It is literally like an extra limb at this moment. It is attached to me at all times, but I'm super in my fantasy phase right now, and I would like to see that represented in The Sims 4, please and thank you. I also think that would be a perfect opportunity to introduce like astrology and zodiac, because I know a lot of people want to see that in the game. I'm not that fussed about like having astrology and zodiac signs in The Sims 4 unless it's coming with like a chemistry / attraction system and like compatibility, because I don't really think it adds a lot to The Sims. I actually did a video back in the summer of like a list of wants that I would want for a fairy pack, and I personally think it was a great list and it was very thorough, and it kind of came up with some ideas that we've never really seen represented in The Sims when it came to fairies. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave it linked at the end of this video. Also, back on my fantasy bullshit, I would like to see a medieval or a fantasy expansion. This is not going to be for everyone. This is absolutely my own, like, selfish, unpopular opinion. I have seen other Simmers talk about this. I definitely don't think it would be the most popular pack. I think a lot of Sims players love realism. They love the mundane. They love being able to just live out their lives and represent them and the people that they know around them. However, I would like to see a different sort of element to The Sims 4. We obviously in The Sims 3 had Into the Future. What about if we go into the past with The Sims 4? I think it would be a really cool opportunity to kind of introduce like royalty. I know I've seen a lot of people wanting royalty in the game, which honestly doesn't sit well with me because I'm not a royalist. I'm not a really big fan of the royals. I'll throw it out there. However, this isn't real life. It is the Sims game, and therefore I wouldn't mind it in my game. And like having like forging, like being able to duel, and like knights, and just like being able to win over your lover. Ugh, I would live for it. Pet dragons. And I know I mentioned a hobby expansion, but I just can't let it go. I just think there's so much stuff that could be added with hobbies. Objects, obviously skills, levels and making your Sims feel like they had more personality. I think it's all kind of intertwined. For me personally, as a storyteller, you might disagree, but that's my pack wish list for 2022. I have my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that this video may actually manifest some. Also, Sims team, if anybody is watching this, I would really like more community surveys. I feel like 2019 and 2020 were so good for like community surveys, not even just with like the community stuff pack, which was nifty knitting, because obviously they had to ask us about that, but like I felt like we got community surveys that would just be like, hey, would this theme be interesting to you, or how would you feel about this? And I really miss them like kind of sending those out, and to the wider community as well, because it's all well and good me being an EA creator on the creator network, like making this video, but you also aren't getting feedback from the wider community outside of like comment sections and like threads that we see on Twitter and things like that. So I would really love it if we could get some more questionnaires and surveys this year, because I feel like things have been very quiet, which, not gonna lie, does scare me. Does it mean that Sims 5 is on the way? But then we've been told that Sims 4 has like years of content left in it, so I have no idea what's happening. Thank you all so much for tuning in though. I want to hear your ideas down below. What are you manifesting? What are you putting out into the universe for 2022? What are your must-have packs for this year that you feel would personally top off your Sims 4 game? And this was just packs, by the way. There's a lot of things that I do think could add personality and a lot of like systems that I want to see, but I wouldn't want them to be tied to packs, so therefore I didn't talk about them. But I might do a video like talking about those kind of things if you all want to see it, so let me know about that as well. I appreciate you all. Happy New Year, and I will speak to you all in the next one. Bye now.